Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is John Rose. Good to see you again. In today's video, I'd like to take a closer look at one of the various forms of a condition known as pica. Now, pica, by our so-called experts, is considered an eating disorder where people have this obsession for wanting to eat non-nutritive substances like ice or hair or paper or sheetrock or paint or metal or stones or soil or glass or feces. And today I'm going to take a closer look at geophagy, where people eat soil. Call it clay eating. And I'm going to tie that into what's known as urophagy, which is the consumption of urine, which of course is going to tie into my previous video I just did on urine therapy, which I know is an extremely controversial subject. Hard to entertain an idea without accepting it and look at whether or not there might be some merit to it, especially if it already seems to be a very disgusting topic to begin with. Sad how I lose so many subscribers when I talk about a topic like this, because I don't know if you're leaving me because you think I'm promoting it or you think I'm against it. So today I'm going to try to put things in perspective as to why people consume certain things. So let's start with geophagy, clay eating. I've heard that all vegetarian mammals eat clay, not because they're deficient, but because it's preventative. Now, I understand how this can work because I use clay with my solid food vacation on juices. It's a great way to expedite things. It's a great way to find out if we have any blockages or if there's something stuck, we can get it moving. It's a great way to test to see if you're really clean inside, because the clay doesn't magically turn into a mucoid plaque or whatever, as some people try to write this off as saying, oh, it's all garbage, that's just the clay turned into it. I know better, because when I first did solid food vacations, I didn't use anything. That's when I saw all that horrible stuff coming out of me, and I documented all of it. After I was clean, I tried the clay. I wanted to see how it works, because that's what I do. I look at everybody who thinks they have an answer. I'm going to try it. And I saw how it went through me. It didn't magically create this horrible-looking stuff that came out of me. So it appears for a long time cultures have eaten clay for a reason, and animals eat clay for a reason. In fact, it sort of explains why it's so hard to poison rats. Because when rats eat the poison, they go out and they eat some clay or some dirt, which will bind to the toxins, and they'll just poop it right on out of them. So there's a reason why animals eat certain things. There's a reason why animals eat their own feces, or feces from another animal. Now that usually is because there's a deficiency. Our so-called experts are going to claim that pica is all based on a deficiency, and now it's a psychological disorder. And yet we know that animals that we domesticate aren't getting shit from the first shit we give them, so now they have to turn around and eat their shit again. You see what I'm saying? So why would a dog eat their own shit? Well, they're not getting what they need when you feed them this kibble stuff. They're not out in nature eating what they would eat in nature, where they would get everything they'd need. And we have to always keep in mind that dogs have a different sense of what they might consider offensive. You know, they're scavengers. They like the smell of things rotten. So fecal matter is not going to be offensive to them. And if they're desperate, if they need nutrients, they'll eat whatever it takes. Now, as far as taking a closer look at urophagy, where people consume urine. Again, I know this is a very sensitive subject, and when I did my video the other day, I went online to see if I might find some pictures that might be better than just posting myself up there. And you see pictures of people with the glass of urine about to drink it, and I gotta be honest, it makes me want to gag. Reminds me of what it's like when you see someone throwing up. You want to throw up too, don't you? Watching someone drink urine makes me want to vomit, because when we urinate and defecate, we go in the same place. Now, I find it interesting that we really should have two different ways of getting rid of that stuff. Not because of the way the Romans did it. They had urine troughs. They believed it didn't matter whose urine you drank or used topically. They all would urine, so they would contribute their urine to a trough and they'd use it as they needed. But that's not what I'm talking about here. And that's because they've recently discovered that the average person produces 8 pounds of nitrogen and 1 pound of phosphorus in 1 year, and that's enough fertilizer to feed that person for a whole year. So yes, we should have different places to defecate and urinate. We should be recycling our urine and be using it as fertilizer. They're finding that very useful now, instead of having to separate it later. And again, it's because there are good things in the urine that we can use. And I find it interesting that gunpowder was originally discovered by combining urine and feces initially, and there's a complicated process, all for what end? To discover the elixir of life. And that is something we have to understand, because when you start looking at why people believe in certain things, we find that everybody wants to find the fountain of youth, the elixir of life. Gunpowder was discovered because someone tried to find the elixir of life, this magic potion that would allow us to live forever despite the fact that we're not living the right way. And I find it interesting that the Chinese weren't able to do anything with that because they had been around so long and they developed all these bureaucracies to control the water supply system that it stifled their growth and weren't able to be creative with it. And that's what's happening all around the world. That's what's used to bring down countries. It's the bureaucracies. That's part of the Fabian society, to usher in a one world collectivist state, to do away with a country's constitution by instituting all these bureaucracies. But I digress quite a bit on that point, just by combining the feces with the urine. But otherwise, people claim that urine is a fountain of youth. It's the elixir of life. My friends, don't buy into this elixir of life stuff. I've been studying this for so long, I see where people go with this because I know where it goes. I've seen the ultimate effect of how this is supposed to work its way out. That ultimately you don't need to eat, you eat less and less and less. Ultimately you learn to acquire the chi energy not from the food itself, but now the negative ions from the air through your breathing exercises, the ultraviolet rays, invisible ultraviolet rays from the sun through heliotherapy, the art of administering sunbeams to the eyes that stimulates the ocular endocrine system. I studied long ago Qigong. That's the whole concept behind where where the breatharianism lies. Is we don't need food to get energy. We can get our energy, the chi, from other sources. Now, I find that fascinating. I think it's really interesting, but it seems like there's a common theme behind those people who embrace anything that claims to be like an elixir of life. And because when you look at what they think, you see that they follow the same path that that you shouldn't eat so much food. It's really sad that people don't have enough pieces of the puzzle to not realize that what they think is the art is not the elixir of life. I said in my last video on urine therapy that the art is so complicated that I humbly think of myself as extremely incompetent. When I see somebody who's not even close to having the pieces that I have and they think they have it all, it's really quite challenging, realizing that if you don't have enough pieces, you can't make sense out of anything. If you really don't understand what we're really designed to consume, you're going to make ridiculous comments. And I don't think I'm going to go there. I got a good laugh on the way over here, though. I may come back to it. Anyway, so there are no elixirs in life, my friends. There are certain basic needs we need to satisfy. Whenever you find someone who finds part of the art, something like urine therapy, and I'm going to lose a lot of fans because of this who believe in it, they've used it and they've tried it, but yet they don't have enough pieces of the puzzle to realize that there's a lot of myths that are in this whole urine therapy cult, so to speak. And part of that, I didn't finish my point, but I'm going to digress anyway. Part of my point is that urine is not sterile as we think it is. Sure, they found in 2013 that stem cells are real easy to take away and use in different therapies. And that's exciting. That's why urine therapy has a place in the healing world, in the art part of it. We can do a lot of things with those stem cells. But to say that urine is sterile is a bunch of hokum. In 2014, after a 10-year study, these researchers came out and found that urine is not sterile. It has bacteria in it. It has more than 3,000 compounds. Now, I know there are good things in the urine, but there's also some bad things in there. And remember, bacteria have a purpose in life. Everything that eats has to poop. It has waste matter. We eat, we poop. Our cells eat, they poop. Where does that poop go? Into the lymph system. Where does it go? Through the kidneys, not the colon. Filtered through the kidneys. There's a triangle-shaped lymph system at the base of the spine that feeds directly into the kidneys. How do I know? Because bacteria go where there's waste matter. If there's bacteria in the urine, it's there because there's waste matter in the urine. So, reminds me of that study that was done in Russia. A Russian doctor put 10,000 schizophrenics on a water fast and had a 60% improvement, complete remission. And the only ones that went back to that problem were the ones that went back to a meat-based diet, because meat produces bowel toxins. And they found that the schizophrenics had 5 times the 6-hydroxyskatal in their urine. So that's a bowel byproduct. One of those bad things that's coming through the urine. To say that the urine does not include waste matter is absurd. Yes, there are some good things in it. Yes, there are stem cells in it. Yes, it can be used therapeutically like vibrational medicine. So to really understand something like urine therapy, you have to understand a little bit about vibrational medicine, because it works on the same level as homeopathy, isopathy, vibrational medicine, sound therapy, color therapy, aromatherapy. This is vibrational medicine. It works on a different level of frequencies. So yes, there are some mysterious healing properties to urine, especially topically. Is it an elixir of life? Is it the key to providing our body with the stem cells it needs? I don't think so. One guy said, you need to look at this as if what God would want you to do. Well, if God wanted me to drink my own urine, he would have given me a penis that would extend all the way up to my mouth, so it would be like a straw. Elephant's trunk. Oh my God, how do I run? Do I have to run backwards and use my penis as like my tail, like a leg? What did God design us to do? Gave us a thumb so we could grab the fruit. He gave us the eyes that can see the color. We're not supposed to be drinking our urine. We don't. What about the women? All sexes have to have 3-foot-long penises so they can drink their own urine. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to go there, but I couldn't help it. Especially the visual image of a 3-foot-long penis, the length of your leg, and you can't run forward this way, so you got to use it as a tail, and you got to run backwards. Imagine a herd of humans running backwards with a long penis. Oh God, you got to appreciate the humor in all this subject matter. And I know I'm offending a lot of people. And I know I don't have personal experience in doing it, but I've read all the testimonials. I understand how that works. And you hardly ever hear all the other details. Well, you know what? I started doing urine therapy and I got rid of these problems. Oh, you didn't tell us you were eating McDonald's 3 times a day and Twinkies, and you quit doing that and started drinking your urine. Again, I'm coming off as if I'm against urine therapy. I'm not. But I don't believe there are any elixirs of life out there. That's a scam. Don't believe in that. Are there stem cells in there that we could use? Possibly. I'm open to that. Otherwise, I like to use my sense of logic. Get a crib, put a baby in it as Fit for Life guy Harvey Diamond once said, put a baby, a little toddler in a crib with a piece of fruit, an apple, and a rabbit. If the baby eats the rabbit, I'll buy you a new car. Well, let's go a step further. Let's give the baby some strawberries or some urine. If the baby drinks the urine, I'll buy you a new car. How's that one? Of course, we're conditioned because we both we put everything in one place to think it's waste. But the little baby's not conditioned yet. They don't have that disgust that grown-ups do, like I do. Like I said, watching someone put a glass of urine up to my throat literally makes me want to gag. Like as if they were eating feces. It makes me want to gag. Tough sell. Does it work? Obviously. Keep an open mind. I'm poo-pooing this somewhat. But I know it works for a lot of different things, but it's more prophylactic. Doesn't remove the cause. Drinking your own urine doesn't keep you from eating the right food. Now, what I found is when I look at people who promote urine, I look at everything else they believe. And what else are they thinking? Where's the rest of their belief system at? And I alluded to a while ago, it all leads to the same thing. You know, we've got to eat less food. Become a breatharian. Meditate on top of a mountain, and one day you breathe in, when you breathe out, you become the wind. You ascend. A lot of interesting ideas. I like to entertain those thoughts. But I look at all of those things as attempts to deal with being on the wrong path. Everything post 1 of 5. Do y'all know what I mean by post 1 of 5? My subscribers do. Because I talk about 5 main mistakes all the time, so the first of 5 mistakes, the fall of mankind. Ever since then, we've been struggling. We come up with ridiculous systems to try to balance things out, like the yin and yang. It's not a solution. It's trying to balance the system. It helps. Doesn't get rid of cause. Gotta get rid of cause. So what I like to do is I like to say, well, if you believe in urine therapy, let's see what else you believe in. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you have enough pieces of the puzzle to say what you have is really the elixir of life, when all it is one of the many things that's part of the art? As I mentioned before, no one has enough knowledge of all the different modalities and all the ways the body can be damaged to be any type of expert relative to the art of healing. And yet you're going to find everybody who finds one of those things, whatever it is, acupuncture, or herbs, or urine therapy, whatever, they're going to scream up and say, I found the solution. No. Working downstream, it doesn't go upstream. Does it help decalcify your pineal gland? Does it do it better than fruits and vegetables? The structured water in fruits and vegetables? Interesting. A lot of things we don't have good answers for. The only thing I can think of is that all the stuff we're reading about that's part of history only goes back a very short ways. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, 1 of 5 happened a long time ago. And everything we've been reading about what people have done, no matter how long they've been doing it, is all after the fall. And in most cases, it's just trying to make the fall a little bit better. It doesn't reverse the fall. When I went to look at one person's videos to see what else they knew, and I saw them giving advice, it made me cringe, explaining why people do so poorly on fruit. You fools, you're eating too much. Some of you guys are eating 20 pieces of fruit. Should never eat more than 3 pieces. Well, let me think. I'm a raw foodist. Let me try one of the foods that are pretty high in calories, like bananas. You say I should eat 3, that's 300 calories. And you think 20 is too much, which is only 2,000 calories. I could get away with that, barely. But I really need more. So, When I see that type of information as far as what they have as a big picture, I realize they're not in any position to call themselves an expert on part of the art because they don't have enough of the other pieces to even understand the science. So I know I'm being quite critical of several people, but I get a little adamant about people who want to apply the art and they really don't understand the science. Virtually everybody I've looked at that really pushes the urine therapy, and I haven't looked at everybody, so I'm not saying this for everyone, but the people I've looked at in more detail, they have so many flaws, they believe in so many of the myths that are associated with this, like it's supposed to be sterile, or they can't eat fruit, or I hear this from one guy, says all the time, every time I try to eat fruit, I get sick. Stop drinking your urine. You're eating the fruit, your kidney, you're getting your lymph system moving, and now you're putting it back in your body. Maybe that's the reason why you can't eat fruit, if it's not your adrenals and your kidneys. Anyway, why do dogs eat crap? Why do people eat dirt, clay? Why do people drink urine? What's wrong with us? In an ideal world, would we need to eat clay? In an ideal world, would we need to drink our urine? In an ideal world, would dogs eat their own poop? Well, wait a second, John. Animals in nature drink other animals' urine. Reminds me, something happened to me almost 42 years ago. Real close to 42 years ago. I was at the San Diego Zoo with my mom. And I remember when we got to the giraffes, she was so excited. She was saying, let's go to the giraffes. I just love them. They're such graceful, beautiful creatures. I can't wait to see these giraffes. And we get there, and what do we see? One giraffe bend down as the other one's urinating and checking it out. Not smelling, but licking it, drinking it up. It ruined giraffes for my mom the rest of my life. She was like, I can never look at a giraffe the same anymore. Of course, I was told back then that they do it for a reason, to find out if the other one's in heat. So animals do things for a reason. Seems disgusting to us. I watched a little video today because I wanted to just see what someone was saying on it, and they said exactly the same thing I was told 40-some years ago. And they showed it happening, and I can't help but think of that giraffe. There's no way that male giraffe is going, oh, this is so disgusting, licking that urine. I bet he's going, I hope I get the taste I'm looking for. I'm already excited. Just anticipation, thinking, that's going to taste just like I want it to taste. Even if I don't taste it, I'm still going to be excited with the anticipation that it could taste so yummers. And his little tongue was just slapping all over the place. He was loving it. Oh, it's so disgusting. How can they do that? Yeah, it's hard to visualize a lot of things in this world, isn't it? In an ideal world, dogs wouldn't be needing to eat poop because they'd be eating their natural diet. Once we domesticate it, it's a whole different story. Would we need to drink our own urine? If I'm on the fence and I'm leaning one way or the other, I'm leaning a little on that way. I don't think we need it. However, there are some stem cells in there, so it's worth investigating. I'm not closed-minded about everything. However, when I look at those who promote it and do so fervently, and I realize they don't have a good big picture concept of everything, it makes me wonder. Oh, John, you don't have the experience. Shame on you for bad-mouthing something you've never done. Yeah, I haven't done it yet. But I've read about it. I understand it. I see how it can be useful as part of the art. I do. Just like I see homeopathy, acupuncture, and herbs, I see a lot of things useful as the art. Even allopathic medicine, I see it as useful as the art. I refuse to elevate it to a level of an elixir of life, because there are no elixirs of life. That's an illusion. It's a distraction to keep us from focusing on what we need to do. And that is to stop altering our food. Be the best that we can be. And if you like the effects of urine, I don't have any objection to anyone doing that. I know a lot of people doing that like it, and they swear by it, and I think, great. There's got to be something to it. But the only problem is every time you hear people talking about that, you really don't know what else they're doing. That's part of the problem. You always read stories about how someone did so poorly on eating a fruit diet, and yet we don't get any details, and people buy right into it. Some people say, well, it's just genetics. You know, inherited the liver of a pig. That's me. I seem to have been able to get away with a lot of things. Of course, that was until I pooped out a 20-pound cesspool, and I realized that life is an illusion on many levels. Yeah. Interesting how people think they found the elixir of life, and then they do a water fast, and 3 weeks into it, they're having shit coming out of them. And they still think the urine is what's making them feel better. There's a serpent in our belly, baby. Got to get it out of you. Drinking urine, is that going to help you? No. It's not going to help you get the serpent out of your body. Is it going to bump up the biophotons? That's a good question. I'd like to find an answer to that. And that's what's so sad about all these topics I'm talking about right now. If we weren't so screwed up as a species, we would have explanations to all these things. And most of the things that we have as the art wouldn't even exist. They mainly exist because we're making mistakes. We're not satisfying our basic needs. It shouldn't be complicated. There's no flaw in my design where a stove is not built on my back and I don't have a 3-foot penis so I can drink my own urine. Get off my back, please. Use your common sense. Be open-minded. If things aren't working for you, there are a lot of things you can consider to do to support your body in case it's damaged. I add urine therapy onto that list. As I mentioned, there's a lot of things on that list, and it's a huge list. And there's not a person on this planet that knows enough about all of those things to think that they have the elixir of life. Just impossible. Too much. You're missing. Well, folks, I rambled quite a bit on this one. I can't help but think that it shouldn't be any more difficult for us to figure out what to do than all the other animals. We don't live in an ideal world anymore. We see primates doing things they would never do, but we're encroaching on their territory. So we see primates actually eating other primates. When Jay Goodall was with the primates for 10 years, she never saw any of that happen. It was only toward the end where civilization was encroaching on their territory, cramming all these little guys in one area where they had to then become more aggressive and protect their own food supply. So, how do I end this video? Let me do a quick summary. Start off by talking about clay eating, how vegetarian mammals all eat clay, not because of deficiencies, but to help keep them clean. So, are we supposed to be eating clay? Are we supposed to be drinking urine? We see people get a lot of benefits out of it. It's extremely disgusting. Kind of reminds me of water fasting. Water fasting is powerful. Most people are afraid of it. Not a very useful thing that's going to help us turn this planet around. So we have to be realistic in our own way about what is it going to take to wake up the planet. If we can't get people's attention we're going to struggle. There's only one thing that's an idea's time is coming. It's the one thing that can get everyone's attention. Even if urine therapy was some magical panacea, even if water fasting was some magical panacea, which it almost is, we're not going to get anybody to do it. But a solid food vacation on juices, oh man, this is easy. It's been done before. If we can do it, get to the tipping point, then we can make more sense out of this and figure out, yep, we got to take it to the next level and drink a little bit of our urine. Or nope, we're in paradise and we're having fun. It's a treat.